Air raid alerts have sounded across southern and central Ukraine in response to the latest missile attacks by Russia. Residents of the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, were told to head to shelters shortly before midnight local time. The mayor said 5 people had been injured. This is the aftermath of a drone attack overnight in Kyiv. You can see the extent of the damage there. The southern city of Odessa has also been targeted. Russia has stepped up its aerial attacks ahead of an expected offensive by Ukraine. A Ukrainian general in Bakhmut said Russia had intensified its shelling of the devastated city too. Russia's Wagner Group boss says Moscow has agreed to his demands for more ammunition days after he threatened to withdraw his troops from Bakhmut. Russian troops and fighters from Wagner, a private military company, have been trying to capture Bakhmut for months, despite the city's questionable strategic value. Well, I spoke to our correspondent Hugo Bechega, who's in Kyiv with the latest developments.
The air raid alert sounded before midnight, and it lasted for 3.5 hours. And we heard some loud explosions here in the capital. The authorities said it was because air defense was repelling the attack. Now, it was the 4th time that Kyiv came under attack in 8 days, and we had an update from the army saying that Russia had fired 35 drones, those Iranian-made drones that Russia has been using to attack cities across the country, and that all of them were intercepted by air defense systems. The mayor here in Kyiv said 5 people were hurt as a result of the attack. Some of them were injured because of debris that fell after a drone was intercepted. And Russia also used fired missiles at cities across the country, and the army said 16 missiles had been fired. And in the port city of Odessa, a warehouse was hit. And we also know that the cities of Kherson, Kharkiv, Mykolaiv were targeted in this wave of Russian airstrikes. So another wave of attacks by Russia. Russia has intensified these attacks targeting cities and towns across Ukraine away from the front lines ahead of this much anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive. The authorities here say they're finishing their plans for this counteroffensive to try to take back territory that's now under Russian occupation.
Okay, Hugo, as you've been speaking, we've been looking at images that have just been released by the Ukrainian armed forces of some of the devastation that's been wrought by these attacks. What more do we know about the celebrations that Russia is planning to mark its annual Victory Day tomorrow? Do these strikes on Ukraine, are they tied in with what we can expect tomorrow?
Well, it's difficult to say because we've seen these attacks. They have intensified over the last few weeks. But obviously, this latest wave happens a day before Victory Day celebrations in Russia. We know that a number of explosions, attacks have been reported inside Russia and also in Russian-controlled territory. We know that a number of cities in Russia have cancelled their celebrations, or some of the festivities have been scaled down because of the threat, because of the fear that more attacks and more incidents could happen. We know that President Putin will be tomorrow presiding over a parade in Moscow. And obviously this is a big day for Russia. This is a day of big celebrations there in the country, a very significant day, a Victory Day in Russia. And again, these latest attacks here in Ukraine happening a day before that.